What's going on YouTube? It's Miles here. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And today I wanted to talk about Battlefield 6 and how genuinely disappointing it is that it flopped the way it did. And I want to talk about why it flopped, because it's very obvious why it flopped. But without further ado, let's dive into this shit, because what the hell is going on with AAA games? Like, genuinely, what the fuck is wrong with AAA games and microtransactions and battle passes and fucking skin packs? What the fuck has this world become? What is the gaming industry anymore? Why does every game feel like the same game? I am losing my mind. I am literally slowly losing it. I might get Alzheimer's or dementia because of just the amount of shit that I've had to endure with these fucking companies. But you know what? I really hope I don't. I hope I live a long, healthy life. But the amount of cortisol that modern games give me is just really unhealthy. Battlefield 6 had a really, really big opportunity and a really easy opportunity to just not only outsell Call of Duty and Activision this year, which for a little bit they did. They did do the right moves, and you know, they kept the game grounded and didn't add any crazy movement, kind of kept things, you know, steady, kept things the way that a shooter game should be. But they ended up just becoming COD Junior. And what I mean by COD Junior is the battle pass bullshit, the skin packs, the gun camos. They wanted their cake and they wanted to eat it too, which basically means they weren't satisfied enough with beating Call of Duty in October. They needed more. They needed more money, and they fucked themselves up real bad. EA in general, like, I haven't heard anything that good out of EA Sports, or excuse me, fucking EA Sports, like EA, in God knows how long. I grew up playing Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 quite often. It was usually like a rotation game. When my friends and I would get bored of Call of Duty, we'd hop on Battlefield, and it was a different experience, but you know, it was fun for what it was back in the day. And Battlefield 6, for the most part, like, gameplay-wise, was definitely more enjoyable than any Call of Duty I've played since Black Ops 3. Like, quite literally, without a doubt. It's just, like, simpler, and it's straight to the point. There's no bullshit about the game. And that's one of the things that I do respect about Battlefield 6, is they didn't try to be something that they're not when the game released. Mind you, like, I was never great at Battlefield. I don't really know what the fuck to do when I'm in Battlefield. Like, especially Battlefield 6, like, a lot of the maps were just, like, really confusing, and the FOV sliders made it really hard to see from far away, especially with these, like, close-quarter alleyway maps. But when I say COD Junior, like I said, like, Battlefield has just, I don't mean Battlefield Junior, I mean Battlefield 6. They had their chance to separate themselves, and they decided, nah, fuck it, like, that's just not who we are. We're greedy bastards. And that's where we are today. That's why Battlefield 6 has had probably one of the biggest fall-offs in player counts of all time. And I don't think it really has to do with the core gameplay in general. I think it just really has to do with the maps that were in the game. The maps really weren't that great, I'll be honest. The maps felt way too COD-like, and I understand that Battlefield and Call of Duty are pretty much, like, on the same hand. Like, you know, it's like ring finger and middle finger when it comes to just similarities. I don't, that's not a great analogy. I just kind of mean, like, they're very similar. They're military shooter games. But Battlefield 6, for the most part, like I've been saying, gameplay-wise, kept the same grounded, military-style sort of shooting experience that I would say I grew up genuinely really appreciating and loving. But in general, like I said, the map selection and with the whole battle pass bullshit, the fact that a lot of the skins that were coming out looked like skins that have already been released in Call of Duty, and slowly but surely it just went more and more from let's put out better gameplay and let's fix the bugs to we now have a battle royale mode. You know, we now have more items to buy. Oh, you can customize your guns and buy camos now. It's like, okay, man, fucking hell. Another one bites the dust. And I really don't have much more to say than that. I mean, obviously this video is going to be longer than 4 minutes, but I really just don't have much more to say besides the fact that it's such a shame that it's such a shame to see Battlefield 6 have the opportunity that it had and they just fucking they destroyed their own ship, man. They fucking destroyed their own ship. And I only really played Battlefield 6 like 3 times. I think I may only have like 4 or 5 hours on Battlefield 6. In the long term, I just couldn't enjoy my experience. It was just like, it kind of just became a Goyslop sandbox, and people weren't playing Battlefield 6 the way that people played other Battlefields. People were playing Battlefield 6 like it was Call of Duty. People figured out how to slide cancel. People figured out how to abuse movement in certain ways. And the way that the gunplay was just ending up at pretty much every time I'd get into a gunfight in Battlefield 6 was basically me either getting double teamed, or me getting killed by a camper, or me just experiencing some sort of shit that you would only see in Call of Duty. And like I said earlier, I get these games are pretty much hand in hand, neck and neck when it comes to similarities, but Battlefield, at least when I was growing up, Battlefield, 1943, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, even Battlefield fucking Hardline, bro. Like, Battlefield Hardline, by the way, if you haven't played that game, it's really fire. The campaign is awesome. You play as a cop, and it takes you to this, like, really, really interesting campaign where, like, you get to arrest people, and it's pretty sick. But anyways, off topic here. I just, like, the more I played Battlefield 6, the more I just kind of like lost my sanity, in the sense of it's just this, it's the same thing every time. Shoot, die, ask for a revive, nobody's anywhere near you, no one cares to revive you, and all the gunfights, like, everyone's using meta weapons, everyone is slide canceling, everyone is just moving the way that they would move in COD. And that most of that reason being is because a lot of COD players switched over to Battlefield this year because of the fatigue, and I get it. Like, it's a different taste, it's a different style of shooting game. But at the end of the day, the similarities are just too obvious and just too close together for me to even consider this game like a good release. It doesn't identify with what Battlefield actually at least stood for back, when things mattered 10 years ago. It's crazy that in only a span of 10 years, we've just lost the plow with pretty much every AAA game studio. But, I mean, adding the Battle Royale mode was kind of a win and a loss. I get there are plenty of people who enjoy Battle Royale and first-person shooters, but I personally just don't give a fuck. Battle Royale got old after about 8 months for me when I started playing Fortnite. That was the first ever Battle Royale experience I had, but it just gets old, man. And especially with games like Battlefield and Call of Duty, where their whole identities are based off of their PvP multiplayer, and then they basically just change their entire focus of the game's trajectory and the company itself to just cater to the Battle Royale bullshit. You lose the identity, and I think partially Battlefield 6 flopped because of that. But like I said earlier, I think a much larger reason Battlefield 6 just kind of shit the bed had to do with the microtransactions, and had to do with them kind of just steering away from what made them popular. And, you reap what you sow. I don't know when the next Battlefield will come out. I don't know if they're done, but Battlefield 6, just a sad case of a what if, because it really could have changed the way that shooting games are perceived. It could have set a tone. They could have made Activision actually second guess themselves, but they just ended up being exactly what they advertised not to be, a complete bullshit ass piece of shit. Horrible experience. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and fuck Activision. Have a great day.